Inravio.com.
Hello again, everybody. Welcome to the 5 Off, 5 On Racing Show. Oh, a lot to talk about tonight. You know, for those of you who've been around for a while, remember the Joe rant? The Joe rant's not coming back, but I got some things to talk about tonight. Weather wreaked havoc with just about every racing event up and down the East Coast. We had the Hurricane Matt down in Florida, up through Georgia, the Carolinas, and it just ruined some things. And the remnants from this storm, we had a lot of weather up here in the Northeast, which caused the NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour Race at Stafford Motor Speedway in Connecticut to be postponed not only a week, but a weekend and about 10 more hours, because they were supposed to run at a certain time. They didn't run till late Sunday night, which one of the things, back in the day when I was a touring official, the race teams, these are working guys, a lot of them, and the officials are working guys. Some are retired, but for the most part, they got to show up at a job on Monday. And I don't think NASCAR takes a look at that when they're trying to reschedule. Now, this race didn't start at the tour race, if I'm correct, until after 9. And it was a race that was supposed to start much sooner, but the rain just ruined that. And I think about the touring guys that don't live in Connecticut or Massachusetts, the guys and gals who have to head down to Pennsylvania, head down to Long Island, and at that hour at night, you're not taking any ferry, you're driving around and trying to get back into New York through the bridges, whether you take the Throgs Neck or the Whitestone. Sometimes just going that little stretch to go over the bridge could take an hour or so. And these are the things I think that need to be taken in consideration. Wait, these guys have to get home. And yeah, it was tough. There was no other day or time to reschedule this event with the World Series at the Thompson Motorsports Park in Connecticut. The final event for the NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour was scheduled for the following weekend. So it was a tough call to make, and race promoters are stuck sometimes. Hey, let's ride it out. We got lights, let's go. There's no curfew, we're gonna make it happen. And the other thing is that the New London Waterford Speed Bowl in Connecticut had the Legend Nationals scheduled for this weekend. And that too was affected by the rain. And they were supposed to run their feature event, their big race on Saturday. And it was postponed and postponed and postponed, and they kept dragging it out. And these teams had to spend another night in a hotel room and told them to come back in the morning, hopefully we can make it happen, and it didn't happen. And I'm not up on the INEX rules and how they do things, other than knowing a couple of guys that run these legend cars. I don't really know the ins and outs of it, but I'd have to say, not only as a fan, who maybe I would have gone up to watch this event, and I'm glad I didn't, because all plans were to go as long as the forecast looked good. And to not run the event or reschedule it was kind of like, in my opinion, a kick in the teeth to not only to the fans who planned the weekend ago, and you can't plan weather, but these teams spent a lot of money to go racing. And you know what? They're not part of NASCAR. They're not part of any sanctioning body that would affect the track that they were running at. To tell them that the finish was going to be determined, and if you didn't hear this, the finish was going to be determined on how they were supposed to start. Now, how do you do that? How do you do that? I don't think that's right. And I don't know what the rule says, and I know there's some people on here that are into the Legends or INEX, and maybe they can explain that. But how do you do that? It will be like lining up the Sprint Cup Series guys and saying, all right, now it's raining. Okay, we're going to line them up on points So so-and-so is going to, on the pole, and there's going to be 40 cars, and if there was 2 that were planning on racing can't, they're not in the field, so they're going to go home. Oh, wait, we can't get the event, so we're going to call the finish based on the way they lined up. That's not good. That's a smack in the face to every competitor, every car owner, every fan. You don't do that. You pick a date and you go race, especially a race of that magnitude. But anyway. The Nashville Speedway in Tennessee was reportedly sold for $27.5 million. And they're not saying what they're going to do with it. At least any of the reports that I read. Is it going to stay a racetrack? Is it going to become, condos or a golf course or something? It didn't say that. But here's another racetrack that was sold, and nobody's talking about what it's going to be. And that concerns me because nobody's building new racetracks. Everywhere you look, they're just closing. It was just closing. So, I don't know. And then speaking of racetracks, Midville Speedway in Ohio has notified fans, videographers, reporters, and the like that no live streaming will be permitted at their facility. And if they catch you doing that, you'll be asked to leave. Now, the track's feeling is, why should the fans show up and buy a ticket and buy beverages and buy food if they can catch it in the stream? Now, this is something that the 505 On Show can do. We could stream, and Inravio, the TV network, can do that as well. But when you see that, when you see, because the minute a race is over, you can go to Facebook or any other social media, and you can see the race and see highlights. Now, when you look at that, somebody's at some point is making some money off that, not sharing with the track. And the track is there. This is why tracks are having trouble financially, because, there's so many people that are sitting in the grandstands or have their little seat somewhere, and they're filming these events, and they're making money off of this without sharing it with the track. Now, I don't blame the track. I went to an event. I went to a show in New York City to see Jersey Boys. And I took my phone out of my pocket because I wanted to get a couple of pictures of the stage before it even started. I was in like row 2. I was like, wow, this is pretty cool. And somebody with a red coat would put that phone away. I'm like, whoa. And I went to a place on Long Island out on the East End there to see $1 Million Quartet. And they took your phone away and deleted the footage. Technology today has caused it to become that. And, who owns this? Like at racetracks. You go to any racetrack the next day or that night even, you see live streaming, you see the event being posted, you see races, you see results. And, right, wrong, or indifferent, this racetrack's not gonna allow it. And I think it's just gonna be the first of many racetracks that are not gonna allow fans to go into the racetrack and stream the races. And where does that end? I can remember years ago, some guy's mother that I remember raced with, his mom filmed the races, and a lot of guys film the races. And they don't make money off it. They film the races so they can put it, in their archive and look at it 10 years from now. I still look at some of the videos that I had from racing back in the 80s. One day you get the old video out, and I still have the VHS tape of it. I really should put it on a disc. But, some people are doing it for that reason. And how do you start? How do you differentiate? You can't let someone, not the other, so that's why Midville Speedway has made that decision. But again, they need to get with a network, a group, a show, and you know what? Yeah, you want to watch it from home? Great. It's going to cost you X, Y, Z, pay-per-view, contract with somebody that's going to do that, especially at the weekly racetracks, and go from there. And I think that's the way to go. But I go to a lot of racetracks, and there's a lot of cameras and a lot of people with their cell phones. They're doing everything. And, you know, maybe Midville Speedway has some grounds here, but it's just one of those things. But, you know, you look at these things and, you know, you don't realize it, that this technological world we live in and the information now. I mean, I can remember going to races, you know, watching races on TV in the 60s on the old ABC Wild World of Sports, and they would show like Daytona, for instance, in like June. And they only gave you certain parts of it. They only showed you, you know, the highlights. They showed you the start, they showed you some wrecks, they showed you some battle for the lead, and they showed you the end. But, you know, I don't know, it's a little different. And I know with Kevin Basic, Long Island E for Speed, he did a lot of videoing for the Inravio TV network. And what he did for his show, Long Island E for Speed, he taped the races, and he didn't make a penny off these things. And he got in for these tracks for free. They signed them in, or signed us in, I should say. And I did some interviews and made the people feel good. We put them on the show. And then Kevin, the next time we would go out there, he would give these videos away. He would say, hey, so-and-so, this is the video that you were in. Oh, great. Or he'd have videos of a race or somebody's win, or he'd find a video from years back, and he gave these videos to people. He didn't make money on these things. He didn't sell his videos. He didn't have a booth where he stood there at the end of the night trying to sell these things and make money to cover the cost to go to, you know, Evergreen Speedway, Mahoning Valley, New Egypt, you know, Bethel, wherever he went. It was hours and hours and hours to get there and back. And, you know, that was all out of his own pocket. And he still gave the videos away. And he'd go up to the promoters and, hey, give these videos away. You know, you do your raffles. Give them to let them win. And that's, you know, it's just one of the things. And, you know, and then you look at something like Midville Speedway, it's gotten so out of control that they have signs throughout the facility that say you can't do that. I don't know. You know, people have taken advantage, and they go out and they try to make money off of everybody else's efforts. And then there's the guy that gives it away. Yeah, anyway. We're going to take a break, and we come back. We'll talk about some more of the stuff that went on this weekend that was affected by the weather when we come back.
What's up, guys? We're Scared No Fair, and we're here with Inravio. If they catch you at a show with one of these bracelets, you will win $100.
That's a lot of money.
So get a bracelet.
Do whatever it takes to get that. Hit them up online.
Bethel Motor Speedway, racing at its finest. Are you ready for the excitement of racing at the legendary quarter-mile asphalt oval track of Bethel Motor Speedway? With speeds approaching 100 miles per hour? Yeah, we thought so. With stock car racing every Saturday night now through October 1st, and grandstand admission at only $8, there's nothing holding you back. Get to the Speedway and enjoy racing from the best divisions on asphalt. 4 cylinders, street stocks, pro stocks, bandoleros, dirt 358 and sportsman cars, legends, and modifieds. And it's fun for the whole family, with kids 5 and under admitted free. Visit BethelMotorspeedway.com for schedules, racing news, and lots more. Bethel Motor Speedway, 361 Horseshoe Lake Road in Swan Lake, New York, and at BethelMotorspeedway.com. Village Music Shop of Mastic, 1-800-HEY-DUDE, your full-service store with personalized attention, school band instrument rentals and sales, music instruction on all instruments for all styles and age groups, for guitars, drums, amplifiers, PA systems, and accessories. It's Village Music Shop, 1495 Montauk Highway in Mastic. Call 1-800-HEY-DUDE or go to villagemusicshop.com.
Hello there, welcome back. Welcome back. So this weekend, upcoming weekend, the Thompson Motorsports Park in Thompson, Connecticut will be the last NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour race of the season. And it's going to be tight. And, you know, looking at the points, I'm not going to give you the Stafford finish yet, but right now, after the Doug Colby's win at Stafford this past weekend on Sunday, that was his 10th victory at the Stafford Motor Speedway. Right now, that gives him a 20-point lead over Justin Bonsignore and Timmy Solomino third in points. He's 48 points back. So basically, what would have to happen for Timmy to win the championship is Doug and Justin would not have to show up. And Justin would have to have a real good run, and Doug Colby would have to have a not such a good run for Justin to win the championship. So it's always good, you know, under the old point system, you still have mathematically 3 drivers who have a shot at the championship. And Thompson, Justin does very well at Thompson, as does Doug Colby. So it'll be interesting to see how that all plans out. So anyway, this Stafford Motor Speedway, a race that took a week and 7 hours to run due to the rain. And I get my hats off to the Arute family for making it happen, doing everything possible to get it in. And the way it went down is Doug Colby was the winner there, followed by Timmy Solomino. Jimmy Blewett was third. Justin Bonsignore finished fourth. Chase Dowling fifth. In sixth place was Rowan Pinnock, followed by Max Zackham in seventh. Matt Swanson in eighth. Woody Pitcat in ninth. And Sean Solomino rounding out the top 10. And like I said, that going into this last event, it's always nice to see that there's a battle here. And I hope that the competitors that are in this event let the race be won or lost on pure racing, not nonsense. Not a guy who hardly ever shows up, takes somebody out, or gets in the way. I want to see good, hard racing. And hopefully we'll have that. And hopefully the guys up in the tower at Thompson make the right decisions and let this race determine the champion. Don't let a call from the tower make this decision like it did a year or two ago, where a decision was made and it wasn't consistent with what was made all year. And I'm not going to get into that, but I hope it comes down to that. I know both drivers. I know all 3 of those guys. Doug I've known for quite some time. Justin I've known since he's a little kid in go-karts. And I wish them both the best. You know, may the best team win. And no matter what team wins it or doesn't win it, they all worked hard and they all deserve it. And it's not easy to win a championship. And not that I've won championships, I know it's easy enough, but I've been involved with teams who have. And it comes to a certain point in the season where you're saying, dang, we have a shot at this. And it changes everything. Everybody's running for points. On opening day, your first race, everybody has a shot to be the point leader. And as the season progresses, it settles down. It settles like the haves go to the top, as they say, the cream rises at the top, and the have-nots are still faltering in the bottom. And then you have that core group. And I always say this, without this core group of mid-pack guys, the guys who run from 5th to 15th every week, without those guys, that's where the race is. That's where the race is. And being as I've driven race cars, and I always joke around with this not very well, and I officiated. I was a head official. I was just a lowly tech guy. But even to this day, when I watch a race, whether it's live or on TV, and it's tough on TV because you got to watch what the camera guy or the director wants you to watch. But I watch the race differently. I watch qualifying races differently. When they have run heat races or when they're set in time during time trials, I watch who runs together, who's not, who lets this guy go by, who. in a lot of instances, plays the spoiler, so to speak, I watch that. If they're taking 5, I watch 4th, 5th, and 6th to see what's going on. A lot of people are focused to what's happening up front. I don't do that. It's just the way I operate. And I think what I would do if I was at this last tour race, the World Series at Thompson for the NASCAR Winter Modified Tour, I'd be watching the cars around Doug Hobie and Justin Bonsignore. I'd be watching to see what they do. Are they going to roll over and let them go by? Are they going to race them hard? Or are they going to race them stupid? You never know. I mean, it's not a lot at stake to win. I can remember talking to Mr. Sanderson when the Flamingo team won a championship. We were down in Charlotte at the banquet, and we were talking. And we were sitting there talking, and he said, we'll probably make a little over $100,000 with this championship win. And I was like, wow, that's not a bad payday. He goes, yeah, but it cost me well over $200 to do it. See, just because you won the champ doesn't mean you came out ahead money-wise. And that's the champion. Think about the guy who finished in 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, who spent the same amount of money, if not more, and not getting that big a payout. Or the mid-pack guy who may not be spending $100,000 or $200,000, but he's putting tires on every week and he's making it happen with parts he has in his shed or his shop or his garage. And, where a couple of positions in the finish could make or break paying one of the bills or not. So when you look at this event, when you look at the World Series and you still have 3 guys mathematically have a shot at it, my eyes would be geared on the guys racing around them. If you ever get the chance to do that, watch the race a little different than you normally do, and you'll get a whole different perspective. So anyway, again, good luck to Doug Hobie, Justin Bonsignore, and an outside shot with Timmy Solomino that a lot of things would have to happen and not good for the top 2 for Timmy to take the championship. But you know what? Here he is battling. He's right there at the end, so a good thing. The NASCAR Whelen Southern Modified Tour concluded its season with a race at the Charlotte Motor Speedway in North Carolina. Ryan Preece, former NASCAR Whelen Modified North driver and Xfinity driver now, ran in the Southern Tour. He was there to run the Xfinity car as well, so why not hop in the Modified? Georgie Brunhutzel III was 2nd with James Savali, 3rd. Danny Bond finished 4th, followed by Bobby Meisner Jr. in 5th. Burt Myers finished 6th place. Andy Seiss 7th. Kyle Bonsignore, Justin's cousin, finished 8th. And Jason Myers 9th. And Trey Hutchins III finishing 10th. The championship rounded out like this. Burt Myers is the championship. And Georgie Brunhutzel was 3rd, 20 points back. Now you think about that. In a couple of points each race could have made him the champion again. And Andy Seiss finishing 3rd in the points. And the way, like I said earlier, that the points with Doug Hobie, Justin 20 back, and Timmy Solomino 48 back. So again, it should be a good run. And to have the Southern Modified guys, that the season's over. Congratulations to Burt Myers. I knew Burt Myers. I had the opportunity to talk to Burt many, many times. And I want to share a little story about Burt Myers. The first time I worked a Southern Modified Tour event, I went down there and my job was checking the exteriors, measurements, make sure everything was all good. And his crew chief says to me, not that I caught them on something, I questioned something. And the guy goes, what do you mean it's wrong? I said, well, this is wrong, it's supposed to be this. And he said to me, show it to me in the rule book. Now, being said, I wrote a lot of the stuff that was in the rule book. I knew exactly where to find it, which a lot of people would have to thumb through. And I showed it to him, and he goes, oh, okay. The second time I go work a Southern Modified Tour race, same situation. I mean, these guys are champion contenders. They know how to go right to the limit, right to the limit. And I said, guys, listen, show me in the rule book. Well, one day he showed up, it was like race 3, and he shows up at the racetrack, and he had a UPS shirt on. And I said to him, you work for UPS? He goes, yeah. I said, so did I. And I was still doing my thing in UPS. He goes, really? Oh, what do you do? And we shared, and all of a sudden, we had like this common bond. We were UPS rats. And he never, ever again asked me to show it to him in the rule book. He would just say, I'll take care of it, sir. Nice Southern gentleman. So I had some fun there back in the day, and one of these guys, like I said, we had that UPS bond, and it's funny how UPS people stick together. And even David Hoots, who was the managing director at events that had the Sprint Cup series, and there I was a race director on a modified race, and we ran like, I don't know, 50-something laps under caution in a 100-lap race. And there was a wreck, and it took a little bit too long to clean up, and I was a little tentative and to direct people to. It was actually one of my first, if not the first time that I was a race director in New Hampshire. And I reached over to the series director, Ed Cox, and I said, the only way we're going to get these car series, we got to put one on a rollback, a flatbed. No, we'll get it. All of a sudden, over the radio, you hear 26 to tower, because you have to ask permission to talk. At these events, you don't just talk. 26 to tower, so go ahead, 26. Because why don't you get a rollback truck? And I looked at the series, I looked at Ed, and now Ed's nodding. I says, all right, we'll get one. Rollback to turn 3, whatever, turn 4. So off they go. We get it cleaned up, boom, go back racing, and Ed says to me, do you know who 26 is? No. He goes, that's Mike Helton. Oh, okay. Well, the event ends and whatnot, and I'm leaving the tower, and I'm told I got to come back in the morning and report to the big red trailer. This can't be good. Have to stay there, paying me to come back the next day and paying another night in the hotel. So I'm not thinking they're going to say to me, hey, Joe, great job, because they could have said it that day. So there I am. I walk into the big red trailer, and there's Mike Helton, there's David Hoots, and there's John Darby, who is up there too. And they're all sitting there at the table. Joe, sit down. So I sit down, and David Hoots says to me, how many laps did you run on the caution yesterday? And I didn't know exactly. And I'm thinking, do I need to know this? I don't need to know this. I'm saying to myself. So all of a sudden I said, it was in the mid-50s, I would think. He said, you ran 100 laps under caution. And I went, I did. And he said, you don't know the flag rules? Now I'm like, this is not going to be good. So I go, well, I'm not the flag guy. I tell the flag guy what to do, but he goes, read this. And bent, folded back, highlighted is any time the caution flag is above the bar in the flag stand, you're under caution. How am I going to control? I'm up in the tower. I'm 200 rows up. So it turns out my flag guy, that had to show me a picture, is leaning over the rail with his yellow flag because he wants to have it ready, in case there's a crash. Well, we're sitting there, we're talking, and he goes, and you need to have a game plan going into the event, which I thought I did. And he says to me, I was a UPS driver for 25 years. And, I had to plan my day. I said, you're a UPS driver? He goes, yeah. Is that a problem? I says, I was a manager at UPS. Oh, you were? Huh? What'd you do? So we talked, and all of a sudden, the meeting was over. Everybody shook hands. The common bond. I mean, it was so good. And some of the good memories I had there on the NASCAR Wheel and Modified Tour, and working in some of these events and different series and whatnot. So I look back and I had a good time. And I'll share one more thing before we go to break. Here we are in New Hampshire, and I worked every series that weekend. I worked the K&N Pro Series East. I raced the Modified Series, which was a dual race, and I worked the truck race. And it seemed like any race that I shouldn't laugh. But here I am. I'm doing the K&N Pro Series East, and I'm assigned onto pit road to a team, and they're pitting, and the guy comes over the wall carrying tires, and he gets hit, and down he goes, gets run over, breaks his leg. Okay, oof, not good. Then I'm doing the modified race, and what happens? Guy in the modified crew gets hit by a car that's exiting their pit. He breaks something too. So now it's time for the truck race, and I go, and I'm walking to my pit stall, and we're standing there, and Todd Bodine, they call him the Onion. Todd Bodine's sitting there talking to his crew. And he's getting ready to go to his truck. And he goes, "Don't even tell me you have my guys." I says, "I do." He goes, No. We heard about you this weekend. Anybody that got hurt on your watch." And he's joking around, of course. Well, it wasn't funny because the guy behind them pitted. The guy came out with the tires. And what happened was the car hit the tire just as his crew guy planted his foot onto the ground. And it spun him around. And I looked and his foot didn't move. And I was like, from then on in, these guys broke my chops. They didn't want me in their pit box because of fate, I guess. I don't know. But not that was a fun thing, but it was a memorable thing. And they all recovered, and they're all doing well, and they all went back and did their pit crew and so. But anyway, it was all good. We're going to take a break. When we come back, we have an interview that we did at the Himes Museum of Race and Nostalgia with a gentleman by the name of Pete Cinzone when we come back.
Hi, my name is Aaron from Real Big Fish.
And I'm Ed from Real Big Fish.
And you're watching the Inravio TV network.
Bethel Motor Speedway, racing at its finest. Are you ready for the excitement of racing at the legendary quarter-mile asphalt oval track of Bethel Motor Speedway? With speeds approaching 100 miles per hour? Yeah, we thought so. With stock car racing every Saturday night now through October 1st, and grandstand admission at only $8, there's nothing holding you back. Get to the Speedway and enjoy racing from the best divisions on asphalt. 4 cylinders, street stocks, pro stocks, bandoleros, dirt 358 and sportsman cars, legends, and modifieds. And it's fun for the whole family, with kids 5 and under admitted free. Visit BethelMotorspeedway.com for schedules, racing news, and lots more. Bethel Motor Speedway, 361 Horseshoe Lake Road in Swan Lake, New York, and at BethelMotorspeedway.com.
Hey, I'm Raul Panther.
And I'm Commander B. Hawkins.
And I'm Mark Well. We're some of the proto men. If we see you without this bracelet, we're going to punch in the But if you have this bracelet from Inravio.com, you can win $100.
Put one of these on, or else.
Welcome back. Hey, before we get into the interview, I just want to mention another thing on social media. I saw a post on social media just today, I think I saw it. And it has to do, and I'm not going to throw out any names or anything, but this could be at any racetrack in any part of the country, in Canada, Mexico, anywhere. And the bottom line, or the reason for it, is a competitor had a situation at his racetrack. His crew, his life partner, whatever you want to call her, got into it with the officials. They were asked to leave, and off they went. Now, this driver has been around racing for, I'm going to say, close to 40 years. One of the winningest drivers at that racetrack. And to see on social media that all their equipment is for sale, car, trailer, spare parts, probably enough stuff to build another car. And to kind of, in a polite way, trash talk their racetrack. And say, never be back, never be back. And I wish I had a nickel every time somebody said to me, I'll never be back. But it looks like this person will never be back. And I guess what I'm trying to say is sometimes you try not have your emotions to get the better of you. Yeah, what happened was unfortunate. They were asked to leave. It became a whole big blown up thing. The track operators don't put up with that stuff anymore. And they said, leave. And what they've done now is they shut the door a little bit tighter in the event that they ever wanted to come back. And it's easy to say in October, I'm done, I'm not going back. But then March, April comes, And this one guy said to me once you watch the Daytona 500, you're ready to go rock and roll, and you're ready to go in the garage and start building your race car. And I guess what I'm trying to say, everybody, is don't let your emotions get the best of you, that you're going to post something in social media, on the internet, that's there forever, that somebody could go pull that up, and there's no miscommunication. There's no, I didn't say that. Well, boom, here it is. I printed it. Shouldn't be doing that stuff. And you know what? You know, if it's something that you love to do, what you do sometimes you got to bite your lower lip. You got to put your hands in your pockets, and you got to go up to them and say, what can we do to fix this? Anyway, just a little thought for the day, folks. So here we are at the Heims Museum of Race and Nostalgia, and walking around the museum is a gentleman by the name of Pete Sindone. Here's Pete. Standing here with Pete Sindone at the Heims Museum of Nostalgia. He was standing next to a car that you drove, and I got to ask you, how did you do this?
It was hard. It was not easy. It was the first time I was in a car.
First time, and this was the first one I saw. Now, looking at this thing, it's got this for a roll bar, got a little belt there. The motor and transmission is in between your legs. When you drove this thing, you had to just basically hold on to the steering wheel.
That's all you had.
And you were at Ice Speedway on a 50-mile track. Now, these things flew on that racetrack.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, they sure did.
Now, going back all those years, Ice Speedway back in the day.
I mean, all those years.
All right, back when I was like 5 years old, when you were driving this race car. I mean, you look at these things, they're pretty fragile.
Oh, yeah, they are, yeah. You can't rub wheels with nobody with these things. Fly up in the air with them.
Now,
upside down.
Now, other than Ice Speedway, you raced nowhere else with this car, just Ice?
No, I raced one like it in Thompson. And I raced a few tracks, one like it, but not this particular car. One for Bob Hanahan.
Now, Thompson Speedway, a fast 5/8 mile racetrack. You had to be moving with this thing at Thompson.
Yeah, I was. But tell you I was. But Johnny Mann taught me one thing. Put a handkerchief in your mouth so your mouth don't fill up with air. And push your head back. You can't see where you're going.
So when I look at those old racing movies and I see guys that have like a scarf or a handkerchief, that's what that was for.
Well, part of it, yeah, but mostly you keep your mouth shut so you don't get full of rubber in your mouth. You get full of rubber fast, especially if you're in the back where you're not supposed to be, supposed to be the front.
So looking at these guys that are racing today, so these guys, and I say these young guys that are racing today in Spring Cup, Xfinity, David World Truck, do you think they could race these cars with you guys back then?
But not many of them. A handful maybe, that's about all.
You got to muscle these cars around.
You better muscle them around, you're not going nowhere. Bump and run.
What do you miss about those days?
Everything. I miss everything. There's nothing I don't miss about it. Marty, the guys, Freeport, Islip, Riverhead. Then I raced at 3/4 midgets. I had my own, number 40. That was good. I won a lot of races with that, a lot of races with the 00 that's in the other trailer. I showed the lady that one. Did very well, thank God. I was very lucky at the time. Had good cars. And good owners.
Well, Stan, I appreciate your time, and I want you to go out and enjoy the festivities here. Thanks for reminiscing about the old days of your old car, and I wish you well, and it's a genuine pleasure.
Thank you very much. I appreciate all the interviews you're doing with me and my cars. Very nice. Thank you very much.
I'll tell you, we spoke for a long time, Pete and I. And when I said to him, what do you miss about it? What do you miss about it? And he said, everything. And he missed the people. He missed the guys and the gals he saw at every racetrack that he went to, and hanging out and having something to eat, or having a couple of beers, or whatever they did back in those days. And that's what it's all about. And even myself, I look back on the days when I first started. I was just a kid. 18, 19 years old, and looking up to when I saw Charlie Jazombach, and I was like, whoa, I'm in the same pit area as Charlie Jazombach. Remember the late Freddie Harback, I didn't know where to park in the pits, and I just pulled in some place, and Freddie Harback came, and I can remember hearing his crew being all uppity about something. I was like, what's their problem? And Freddie Harback, the Flying Dutchman, he comes up to me and goes, "Hey kid, I park here." Oh, okay, you know. And I moved to the furthest corner because I said, can't be anybody's spot because nobody parks this far away. And that's why I ended up parking at ISO Speedway. But you look back at some of the people that you meet over the years, and then you don't see them. You don't see them forever. And then, boom, there they are at the Himes Museum. And you sit down and you talk about the old days. And that's what it's all about. And the memories that we've played with in our heads, and the reels. And you know, somebody once said to me, you know, it's like the cassette tape that's in your head, and when something happens, the cassette tape rewinds, and you remember these things. And you know, going to the Himes Museum and for an event such as a reunion, an old timers reunion, and you sit down and you ask questions. I mean, when I looked at that race car that Pete Sindone raced, literally the transmission was between his legs, the brake was on the left, the gas. There was another thing, the handle here was to get the fuel up, you know, and your fuel pressure went down. And I didn't ask the question, but the motor's like right here. This thing blows up. Where are those parts going? Whoop, right here. And I looked at them, and I looked at these things, and the helmets that they wore it was from the World War II surplus. It's a little leather thing, you know. What was that going to do for you? But anyway, listening to the old guys talk about those days, you know, and I've always said it when I was a kid, and I'd be in the grandstand area, hearing old guys talk about the old days. Oh, remember this, remember that, oh. And I always said to myself, I hope I'm never one of those guys sitting here. I'm doing it for a living. I'm saying that stuff. But anyway, I want to thank all the guys, and we'll all throughout the off season be playing a lot of those videos and interviews that we had. And we did at the Himes Museum. And again, I want to thank Marty Himes and his family for allowing us to come in and do that. And as Marty says, that's what we're here for. So anyway, you know, I was playing around with the internet today, or actually over the weekend, and I always look at things, or look for things that I could find that, you know, and so I could say to myself, how'd they come up with that? And the one thing I came up with, it said it's the 10 greatest drivers of all time, according to this website. It's Goliath.com. Now, I'm going to do it from 10th back, and this is the order that they put these guys in. This isn't Joe's order, so don't be sending me emails, and how could you not put that guy in? I didn't do this. I took it from Goliath.com. But anyway, the top 10 greatest drivers of all time, number 10, Jeff Gordon. NASCAR guy, 88 wins. I believe he's like fourth in wins of all time. Then Alan Prost, 4-time Formula One champion, is 9th. A.J. Foyt is 8th. A.J. Foyt won and raced in every series that there is, USAC, NASCAR, Indy, just to name a few. In fact, I had the opportunity to take my picture with A.J. Foyt, and it's proudly hanging in my living room. And then he was hanging out with Junior Johnson. So not only do I have a picture with each of them, separately, but a picture with them as a group, and I'm pretty proud of that. Number 7, Jimmy Johnson, NASCAR 6-time champion. Moved on to the next level in the chase. Could it be 7? Richard Petty, 6th. Of course, NASCAR, 200 wins, 7 championships. Was an ambassador to the sport. I would have thought he'd be higher, but anyway. 5th, Nigel Mansell, Formula One and kart champion. Then we have Aron Senna. I never heard of this guy until I saw this. He was a 3-time Formula One champion, killed racing in 1994. And then we have Dale Earnhardt Sr., 7-time champion. Dale Earnhardt's name speaks for itself. Michael Schumacher, 7-time Formula One champion. And the number 1 driver, and this surprised me, the number 1 driver in the 10 greatest drivers of all time, Mario Andretti, Italian-American, grew up in the hills of Pennsylvania. He raced in NASCAR, Formula One, Indy, USAC, victories in all. He was the guy back in the mid-'60s, early '70s, who, and I'll tell you what, if his speaking, and not that he spoke bad, but he wasn't a polished speaker as Richard Petty was, I believe that Mario Andretti would have been like the king of auto racing. Not just the king of stock cars, the king of auto racing. So when I saw that Mario Andretti was first, I was kind of surprised, but then I wasn't. When you look at his accomplishments and, you know, and the family, the Andretti name is synonymous with racing up into this day. So interesting piece of information that you can find when you just go surfing on the internet. So, but again, you know, you have your NASCAR guys, your kart guys, your Formula One guys, and you know, kart in Indy was the IRL and kart when the Indy guys split. And you know what? Divide and conquer. Indy isn't as big as it once was, and kart is just a name from the past. But the Formula One's still going strong. In fact, Formula One this past weekend had the Japanese Grand Prix, and Nico Rosberg was the winner there, followed by Max Verstappen. Lewis Hamilton was third, Sebastian Vettel fourth, Kimi Räikkönen was fifth, Daniel Ricciardo was sixth, Sergio Perez seventh, Nico Hülkenberg eighth, Felipe Bottas ninth, and Valtteri Bottas rounding out the top 10. The way the points look in Formula One right now is Nico Rosberg is the point leader, followed by Lewis Hamilton and Daniel Ricciardo. So, Formula One. And I'll tell you, I was watching a Formula One race. I was watching this race actually yesterday for a little bit. And I can remember, because I don't watch Formula One. I just don't. I'll be honest with you. But, you know, it was on, the Jets were losing. What the heck, you know. The Jets lost, and the Yankees aren't in the playoffs, and what are you going to watch? I watched Formula One. And I can remember the old Grand Prix days, like in the 60s when I was a kid. They used to have the cars parked on an angle, and the drivers were across the track, and they shot a gun, bang, and they ran across the street. They hopped in, and they took off. Well, this race was from a standstill. A standstill, because usually I'm surfing. I don't know who's what. Oh, okay, good. But I watched the start of this race, and I'm like, wow. Just the guy in front of you don't go. You're shot. And I remember the IndyCar camera, they showed some of the top guys, and had this one guy, I don't know if he missed a shift, and they don't shift anyway, it's like buttons on the steering wheel, and he had to dive to the left, go past him, dive to, and these guys, you can't touch, you can't bump. Like Pete Santone said, you're not rubbing wheels, and in this type of race in Formula One. And watching this that day, you know, yesterday, I was like, I had enough trouble with full fenders and Nerf bars not ripping stuff off. There's no way I would have been able to race a Formula One car or even a reasonable facsimile. But it was interesting to watch the race. I had a good time watching it. And it was all good. It was all good. And just interesting. And those guys, they're tough. They're tough. But anyway, the Xfinity Series, yes. The Xfinity Series, after being rained out, they ran Sunday after the Sprint Cup Series because they were supposed to run Friday night and then got turned to Saturday morning, which didn't happen, and they had to run Sunday after the Cup. And Joey Logano was the winner there, followed by Elliott Sadler. Daniel Suarez was third. Kyle Larson from the pole finished fourth. Eric Jones fifth. Justin Allgaier was sixth. Kevin Harvick was seventh. Matt Tifft was eighth. Brian Keselowski was ninth. And Ryan Sieg was 10th. And the chase for the Xfinity Series has dwindled from 12 to 8 as Darrell Wallace Jr. bumped Ty Dillon by 1 point, locking into the final round of the chase for the Xfinity cars. The final 8 drivers sit like this: Elliott Sadler, Daniel Suarez, Eric Jones, Justin Allgaier, Blake Koch, Brendan Gaughan, and Ryan Rip. So the next event will be Kansas on October 15th. And this is a first for these guys, and there's a lot of pressure. And the points have been reset, and we'll see how that goes there. We'll see how it goes. The Camping World Truck Series was off. The next event will be, where are they going to be next? They will be, let me go to my notes here. They will be at Talladega on October 22nd. And that's, I'll tell you what, and when I see the trucks on these super speedways, Talladega, Daytona, They don't belong there, in my opinion. Just saying. A lot of stuff gets tore up, as they say down south. But Talladega should be interesting on the 22nd. The Sprint Cup Series was at Charlotte as well, as we said earlier, and they're headed for Kansas this week. But the way it went down at Charlotte, Jimmy Johnson with the win locked himself into the next round. Matt Kenseth was second. Casey Kane third. Ryan Newman was fourth. Fifth was Kyle Larson. Kyle Busch was sixth, followed by Brad Keselowski. Kurt Busch was eighth. Tony Stewart ninth. And Jamie McMurray rounding out the top 10. Kevin Harvick started on the pole, finished 38 with a blown engine. Other chasers having a bad day. Joey Logano, 36. He scraped the wall, spent some time in the pits, finished 36th. Chase Elliott finished 33rd. He was in an accident. Austin Dillon finished 32nd. He was also in an accident. And Denny Hamlin finished 30th with an engine failure. Race 2, round 2, Kansas, then Talladega. And Johnson's win, I guess, that moves him into a lock position into the next level of the chase. And they're already talking number 7. A lot could happen. A lot could happen. You know, remember, you got to go to Talladega. You got to go to Talladega. Everybody waits for the big one. And no matter where you're racing, you can be caught up in the big one at Talladega. You can definitely be caught up in the big one. But anyway, it's hard to believe that the season's winding down. NFL is in week 4, I believe. Hockey's has started, and which means racing's coming to an end. Now, what's going to happen now is it's banquet time. It's banquets, and I know people laugh because they know how I feel about this. They know, all right? And unfortunately, the people watching the show and listening and checking out here, they know how to dress for a banquet because I've been telling them for the last 5 years. But you know what? There's people out there. Well, I'm going to say it. I went to an awards presentation for their local racetrack, and I'm sitting there having my nice meal that I paid for, and this guy walks in with like greased up jeans. It had to be his best racing T-shirt, but it was, you know, like had some tears in it. And it was kind of dirty, and his hands. And I don't mean to put anybody down. Please don't. I'm just telling you how you shouldn't look, and you shouldn't look like this guy. His hands were, you know, all dirty. Now, maybe he worked in a recycling yard that day, and he got stuck working overtime. He didn't have a chance to go clean up. But you know you're going to an awards thing. Keep a change of, at least a shirt. It does. Get a solid shirt. This way it doesn't matter what tie you have on because it'll match. You can get them cheap. They have these shirt sets in all the stores. So they're so close. It costs not. And then you know what's good about it? Unless you gained a lot of weight, you tie the tie to your hanger, you hang the shirt, put it, and it's in your closet for next year. Now, unless you were the champion and you're in a lot of pictures, nobody will know that's the same outfit for last year. It's not like women. Women, they have to get a new dress for every affair. They wear it once. There should be like a rent-a-dress place for women when they get there. But a guy, just throw on a shirt, tie up your tie. And if you're not good at tying ties, have somebody tie it for you and then just loosen it up, pull it over your head, and hang it in your closet on a hanger. You know? Please, you're going to be in pictures. And you know what's going to happen? These pictures, especially now with the electronic phase, these pictures are going to be around forever. So now think about this. You're 25, you won the championship in the street stock division, whatever you want to call it, and you have your trophy, and they're taking all your pictures, and everyone wants to take a picture. You can take a picture with your crew chief, the guys on your crew. Hopefully you didn't forget a guy, and then your spouse or your boyfriend or your girlfriend, whomever. Maybe, you know, like your little kids that are like 5, 6 years old. Now let's fast forward. It's 30 years from now. And they're going to look at these pictures. They're going to say, what is this? Oh, I won the championship in my track. Dad, you couldn't get dressed up. I'm telling you, people are going to see these things. And who's really going to see it too is potential sponsors. Now, if you don't care about how you look for your own self, a potential sponsor goes, he doesn't even care about himself. How's he going to care about my goods and services? And you could lose that sponsorship. See, it's not about winning championships. As a company that I have that sponsors people and finds sponsors and whatnot, don't come to me and say, well, I won 17 championships, I'm the winningest driver in the heavy stock division, and you should find a sponsor for me, or you should sponsor me yourself. No, that's not what it's all about. It's about representing the people that you sponsor. And if you can't put on at least a button-down shirt, dudes, come on. You know, if you don't care about your own self, why should a sponsor? Think about this. It's banquet time. And you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to go find the worst representation of a person who's in pictures for a championship or a rookie of the year or most improved, that they're getting their pictures. And then I'm going to give you what I think is the ideal guy. And you want to look good. You want your hair to be nice. Maybe it'll be the only time that season that you did your hair. Maybe you got a nice haircut. And I'm not putting anybody down, but think about this. Think about how hard you worked to become the championship, whether it's the champion of the newest bone stock division or the champion of your feature division or even like a touring champion. You want to look good. You want to look good. And you should look good. You worked hard to get there. So work hard at presentation. Somebody emailed me just after last week's show. You know, it's banquet time. You're going to have your banquet talk? Yeah, I am. I'm having it right now. I'm going to have it next week and the week after. And I'm going to have fun with this. I'm going to have fun with this until somebody tells me to stop. It might be the management of Inravio TV. It might be my producer inside. But I'm going to talk about this. I'm going to talk about this, you know, because take pride in yourself. There's guys, they won't bring their cars to the track because the quarter panel is mangled. So they'll spend all week fixing that quarter panel, painting it up nice. And I had spare ones made when my daughter was racing, and I had the Big Brothers Big Sister sponsorship, because many times we had to go do an appearance on a Sunday morning. I didn't have time to make another panel because, as you know, my daughter tore some stuff too. The apple didn't fall far from the tree. And so it was just easy for me to go to the shop in Medford, open the door. Okay, what do we need? Oh, we need a quarter in the door. Here it is. Put it on. Tommy Rogers had all my panels all decaled up, all my extra ones. Tommy Rogers, good guy. And go from there, because I really think you should be dressed up like. Even, I saw pictures from last year from an awards luncheon. The officials giving out the awards were dressed like they were going, you know, somewhere other than an awards thing. You know, nice, dress nice. You don't have to wear a tuxedo. I know the touring series, they tell you what to wear. Believe it or not, when I was a touring official and I presented some awards at those banquets, you were told what to wear. You got a memo what to wear. And don't show up and say you missed the memo. You didn't get it. Because they will look around, all right, you're good, never mind, I don't need you. You're dressed right, come up here. Kid you not. So anyway, I think we got to wrap up. So we got 2 minutes, this is great. I could talk about banquets. No, I'm not going to do that. But anyway, I don't know. It's just cracked me up today. But anyway, you know, the banquet series is coming. And in all seriousness, take pride in your appearance. Take pride in what you look like. And you know, and the guy, even the presenters, you know, again, depending on the venue, you don't need to wear a tuxedo, but a button-down shirt would be nice. You know, maybe throw a tie on it. You know, ties are cheap. I got about 100 ties. If somebody needs some, I'll be more than happy to donate them. You know, I wore a shirt and a tie for 24 or 23 and a half years at work every day, and I didn't want to always wear the same one. So if somebody needs a tie, I got some. People buy me ties. You know, I hang them up on my little tie rack. I wear ties to my show now. Dress the part. You worked hard to win the championship. You worked hard to be Rookie of the Year. You worked hard to be the most improved driver. You know, your crew chief worked hard to have the best appearing car. Dress the part. And you know what? You're going to find that that goes a long way. It goes a long, long way. And maybe I'll use you as the example of how you should look in a future show. Just saying. I could do that. Yeah, anyway, well, I want to thank everybody for being a part of the show tonight. Guys in the chat room for the participation. Kevin, Long Island Need for Speed, Project Modified, will be at the Thompson Motorsports Park with a nostalgia race with the 1984 Troy Mod. If you have not seen it, take a look at it online or at the racetrack. It looks like it was the car from 1982 or 84. It's that good. And they worked hard at that. And my hat's off to my buddy Kevin for all the hard work and efforts. He's just into this. He's just into this. And for those of you who tried to go to Waterford for the Legend Nationals and kind of got shafted on that, I feel bad for you guys. You worked hard. You spent a lot of money on racing. You didn't race. But we'll learn for next time. And speaking of next time, our next show will be next Monday night. And if whoever endeavors will bring you this week, please be safe. Please be careful. Tell somebody you love them. Give them a hug. God bless you all. And we will see you all back here next week. Thanks.